County District Attorney in the primary in June. I unfortunately came in third, behind the incumbent, and then of course Supervisor Todd Spitzer. I am a Democrat through and through. I not only do I bleed Dodger blue, I bleed blue, big time. I can't even say the words president next to the a-hole that's in the White House right now, okay? I mean, I'm a big supporter of Josh Newman, Sharon Quirk Silva. I am a Democrat through and through, but
introduce our guest.
But, why am I here to introduce to you a Republican, Orange County District Attorney, okay? It was tough, but I met with Todd, 3, 4, 5 times. I wasn't, right away I was thinking about it. We talked extensively about what I ran for as a Democrat for Orange County District Attorney. And we agreed on 5 key points, 5 important points that face the District Attorney's office, and he's gonna talk to you about them. And when he proved to me that he agrees with the 5 things were important to me in my campaign, when he proved to me that he was going to fight for those same 5 things, I said, you know what, Todd? I'm going to support you. So he's going to talk about those things. And I just welcome you to be open to listening to what he has to say. Because one last thing, the alternative to Todd Spitzer
is the devil.
A big problem. A lot of times in politics, you don't have a perfect choice. You got to choose the lesser of 2 evils. Not that Todd is evil. but Todd Spitzer is your choice for Orange County District Attorney. So give him a listen, please. Give him a listen. Thank you.
Well, good morning, and it's great to be here. And I was here in the old days. You didn't meet here with Amin. We met closer to downtown Anaheim. And I will tell you, when he was alive and founded Los Amigos, he was always very respectful, and always. Marty, I've known Marty for 20 years when I ran for school board in Brea in 1992 and won that election. And back then, I showed at the Democratic clubs, and in those days, they let you speak. Today, they don't let you speak. And neither do the Republicans, and that's a big mistake in our county. The fact that people don't allow you to come speak, irrespective of your party, is a serious problem in our county. And I'm going to do everything I can as a member of the Republican Party Central Committee to change that, because that's not right. We have candidates in certain races that are all Democrat. We'll probably have more of that, especially as we have district elections, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And we need to hear from each other. So today, I'm more than happy to take any of your questions at any time. I just hope you'll be as respectful as people I try to be back to you. Duke and I were at the ACLU forum last week in Anaheim. He was invited. Don Barnes didn't take the invitation. As a result of that, the ACLU decided not to allow Duke to speak. In my opinion, that was a gross mistake. You don't get veto power when you're a candidate who doesn't show up. And so he should have been allowed to speak. I wasn't even invited. The district attorney candidates weren't invited. Why? Because everybody knows my opponent will not even speak in public at the same time or share a stage at the same time as me. Now, if the ACLU is going around and saying that the district attorney and the sheriff are the 2 most powerful positions in Orange County, which they are, and I'll argue with Duke, I think the DA is more powerful than the sheriff because he can arrest, but I can let you out.
That's right. That's right.
He can arrest, but I can keep you in.
That's right.
He can arrest, but I can ask for the death penalty.
Yeah.
He can arrest, but I can make it a misdemeanor to an infraction. He can arrest, but I can change it from a felony to a misdemeanor. So I want to congratulate my friend.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way around. So I want to congratulate my friend who was on the front page of the Register, and that was beautiful, man. When I opened up my paper, I was like, that was a big score. But this is a shameful score. This is the front page of the Register that the FBI is investigating the Orange County Sheriff and the Orange County District Attorney. That's shameful. All right, this is what started, and guess what? Nothing has happened on a serious front by the federal government and the Trump administration or Jeff Sessions. He's got a lot of problems, doesn't he? They all do. Nothing's happened. And my argument to you this morning and my submission to you is it shouldn't take the federal government to have to come in to clean up Orange County. It shouldn't take that. It doesn't need that. And that's what elections are all about. And so I just brought in, this is just a small example. This is just the snitch file, okay? This is just the cheating file. And probably a majority of you in here are against the death penalty. But the fact of the matter is, when a man walked in cold blood and killed 8 people at the Salon Meritage in Seal Beach, in cold blood, and mowed him down, he took out his ex-wife and he took out 7 other victims and 1 other woman, thank God she lived. The law is still the death penalty, and if anybody deserved the death penalty, it was him. The public was, their right to impose the death penalty was taken away because the district attorney cheats. He cheats. And so that is just wrong. And so what Brett and I have agreed is a couple things. As district attorney, one of the first individuals and groups that will be coming in to clean up the district attorney's office on my watch, because I'm going to immediately impose a blue ribbon panel, if you will, to come in and clean the place up, is the ACLU, who's now suing, by the way, the district attorney's office. It's like Brooke, just like Dr. Moreno said, Brooke is suing him, Brooke is suing me. But I'm an attorney too, and the fact of the matter is, we would not have change in this county with respect to the homeless. And I know a lot of you don't think we're making sufficient or speedy enough progress, but that nothing would have happened but for that lawsuit. And irrespective of even that lawsuit, you know how shameful it is that South Orange County won't come to the table? They're a real big part of the solution. So Dr. Moreno, the North County cities, the Placentas, the Buena Parks, they're the ones that are solving the problem. And that's not right, and I know you're gonna ask me questions about that. So what I agreed with Brett is we are not gonna use snitches unlawfully. And I don't even think that should be a campaign promise. The promise that you have to follow the law, to me, is incredibly crazy. I wanna show you a couple headlines that I think, so let's talk about the Golden State Killer as an example, right? Mass murder, killed all these people throughout the country, or excuse me, the state of California. And one of the former prosecutors in the district attorney's office came out and sent a letter to every prosecutor in that case and said my opponent, Tony Rokakis, was unfit to try those cases. That he couldn't be trusted to try a mass murder in California. And guess what? The other DAs who had those cases, Sacramento, Santa Barbara, Ventura County, they took that case away from Rokakis and it's being tried in Sacramento County. That's good for purposes of getting justice, but it's horrible because the man who did the DNA initiative, Bruce Harrington, whose sister and brother-in-law were murdered here, he lives in Orange County. He was the one that did Proposition 69, the DNA initiative. Then look at justice. Santa Ana homicides are doubling. The minority communities in this county are getting run over roughshod. That's why I said that I will not allow carpetbaggers to move into minority districts to run for office so that they can take the place of somebody who would be the proper representative for that community, who has roots in that community, live in that community. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Paulette.
No.
There's people that
Give us examples.
So Harry Sadu carpetbagged years ago to run for the legislature. He moved in and didn't even occupy that apartment. He was investigated. He had nothing there. His home is a beautiful mansion over in Anaheim Hills. He had no ties to that community and nothing happened to him. And that's what I'm talking about. There are people who move into districts just to run. And now that you have district elections, the district attorney is going to have to enforce the law. But let me tell you why it's really serious. Because in our county, Tyler Deep was being investigated for running a fake candidate in the assembly race. Tyler Deep's a Republican running against Josh Lowenstein. And there's an allegation that they put in a phony candidate.
Lowenthal.
No, not Lowenthal wasn't the phony candidate. Laird was the phony candidate.
No, but his name was Lowenthal, not Lowenstein.
Josh Lowenthal, right. Did I say Lowenstein? Thank you. I served with his father in the legislature, so I apologize for that. So Josh Lowenthal, Tyler Deep, and so this is why I'm not taking any endorsements from people running for office. The district attorney can be beholden to no one. I'm not going to do quid pro quo like my opponent's done for 20 years. He trades endorsements for looking the other way. For example, Harry Sidhu for mayor. He's endorsed Harry Sidhu for mayor, so as a sheriff. They keep looking the other way, even though we know that Harry continues to violate and push the envelope on the law. One of the things I have to talk to you about, not just the DA is unfit and homicides are up, I want to talk to you about hate crimes. So there was a man arrested, his name's Tyson Mayfield. He just tried to assault and steal the purse of an African-American woman in Fullerton about 2 weeks ago. She luckily carried pepper spray. She got away. She abandoned her purse to escape, and he took her purse. But he would have assaulted her and hurt her. Unfortunately, a year ago, he had assaulted a Muslim and used slurs against him, racial slurs, hit him about the face, beat him up, and he was charged with a hate crime. He was charged with 2 prior strikes. He had mayhem somebody, which means he cut them up or he maimed them. Right? That's mayhem. He disfigured somebody, and he got a felony conviction for assault with a deadly weapon. So he was looking over 10 years in prison. The district attorney allowed the judge with no objection to reduce that hate crime to a misdemeanor with no objection. And I just exposed that by putting out the transcript from the plea agreement, because the district attorney says that he's got a phenomenal conviction rate and that everybody is safe in Orange County and he's tough on hate crimes. And nothing could be further from the truth. And then if they don't like what you say in the district attorney's office, they just delete you from their social media. DA just deletes you from their social media. So the ACLU sent a letter to the DA and said, you can't decipher, you can't censor people's opinion about a public agency. And so they had to stop doing it because of the ACLU. The ACLU, even though sometimes I think that the ACLU may overreach in some cases, I agree that
They never do.
And what I'm telling you is that without the pressure of the ACLU, the district attorney who already cheats would cheat even more. Okay? And so I'm trying to find that. So I'm trying to find this one. Here it is. This is so important. Another prosecutor having nothing to do with the snitch scandal for cheating has been recommended by the Superior Court, the administrative law judge. Brooke and I know you never want to get a letter from the State Bar asking you questions about whether you engage in misconduct. Sandra Nassar has been recommended for suspension from an administrative law judge. She's now appealed that to a 3-judge panel of the Supreme Court. She's been recommended unanimously for suspension. Her only left appeal is directly to the Supreme Court justices in our state themselves. She is still handling a caseload. She is still giving out deals. She's still going to court. She's still representing you as a people of the state of California. She's been found to have cheated multiple times by 3 different tribunals. That's why there's a culture of cheating in that office. They cheat to get convictions. I want to show you a chart real quick and then I'll get into questions. It was that thing I had with brackets. I can make the point, but Tony Rackauckus in his ballot statement says he has a 90% conviction rate for felonies. He's bragging that he has a 90% conviction rate. What we did is through our research on the Judicial Council, which keeps all the statistics for all the prosecutions in the courts, we found out that he only has a 62% conviction rate on felonies, and he's reducing from felony to misdemeanor the cases 30% of the time. Do you know what that means? That means he's charging felonies to get convictions. He's overcharging cases in order for people to plead guilty. That's unethical. That's wrong. And he's dismissing the cases or losing 15% of the time. All right?
And who benefits from that practice?
Who benefits from that?
Yeah.
He does, because he gets to cook the books on his conviction rate. So what he's not telling you is when he charges a felony 5 times and he's reducing two out of that 5 times, he's reducing it from a felony to misdemeanor, he's counting that as a conviction for his overall conviction rate to show that he's got a stellar performance when he's either, a couple things could be going on. He's overcharging to get convictions, which is unethical. He's not properly prosecuting cases because they are not doing their job. Right? It's felony conduct, like in the Tyson Mayfield case. All right? So on that Tyson Mayfield case, that Tyson Mayfield in that plea bargain should have been in state prison, not county jail. And when he did his time in county jail, because the DA didn't fight for that case, he only got 2 months in county jail. That's why this white supremacist racist who has a swastika tattooed on his shoulder was out in Fullerton now going after an African American woman.
But that's my question. Raising class, who benefits from that practice?
From
The practice of the district attorney, the raising class, not just the legal aspects from felony to misdemeanor, but what sector of the population, raising class sector, benefits from it?
Well, I don't think anybody benefits from it. Because if you're, irrespective of
You just
who
gave
you
us an
are,
example of a white person being let out.
no, yeah, he is. He's a white supremacist being let out, and he's plaguing and he's going
So
after
the race comes
minority
into the
communities.
picture.
I know, but what I'm saying is, in terms of overall public safety, everybody loses because you've got a very, very nasty white supremacist out on the street going after the minority community, and that's just absolutely wrong. Everybody loses in that particular case. So let me just close and then take questions, because I want you to understand a few things. Politics is about change. Who runs these departments with this power is very significant. If you don't change the leadership at the top and hold people accountable, like Sandra Nassar, who's still practicing law, Todd Spitzer is district attorney, she'd be on administrative leave. She has no business while she's appealing her case to the Supreme Court, practicing law on your behalf or my behalf as district attorney, okay? That won't happen. Cheating, it's not gonna happen. Any prosecutor who's cheating will be recommended for disbarment by Todd Spitzer to the court. And I will bring in, like I told you, the ACLU, who is suing the county. I'll bring in legal scholars like Mario Monero from Chapman University, who and I wrote an op-ed about the DA's office. I will be bringing everybody that you would think is an adverse party to the DA to come in and help us scrub the DA and make the district attorney's office transparent. And the reason I can do that is because when you get elected, you have a honeymoon period and you have the ability to make rapid change rapidly. But we can't tolerate another 4 years. This man's been there 20 years. He wants another 4 years. And if we do that, he's not gonna finish his term. He's gonna step down and let the Board of Supervisors appoint, which is anti-democratic, it's wrong, and you're gonna get somebody with no accountability to the voters and they're gonna run as an incumbent, and that's just plain wrong. It's a complete manipulation, it can't happen. Other questions?
Yeah, let's take a few questions.
Yeah.